Hello everyone, my name is Doomfish, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you what a design I made for a minigame type thing, right here in my creative test world. So what we have here is the play area with 8 different colored platforms, and as you can see, you may or may not recognize these as flying machines back here, and they will retract these platforms. So let's just start by giving a test run of what this game sort of looks like. We flick the lever, and we have to look at that dispenser right over there. What we should be paying attention to is the color of shulker box that comes out. So it's pink. We have to run to the pink. Oh, I failed the first one. So as you can see here, only one colored platform stays active, and the goal is just to sort of survive. So there's a couple of screen. I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, it's a little tough. The timings are hard. Intentionally, I've made it to where there's some repeaters. You can change the timing if you want. But through my testing, this was like a good timing, so it was still like difficult. As you can see, a lot of times it'll just come to the center, and there's not really too much challenge there. In terms of playing with your friends, I don't plan on you using PvP and just like knocking everyone off because it'd be really easy considering how small these platforms are. But you could definitely try it. Right now, it's just sort of like a survival-based thing. And I was thinking of making ways to encourage the player to move around more instead of just sitting in the middle and waiting for the color to come out. But yeah, let's just take a look at how this thing works. So we can flick this lever right here, little staircase comes up, and eventually the machine will turn off. It does take a little bit because it does use a timer, so you gotta wait for the timer to run out, but there we go. So this thing, it looks a little complicated, and I suppose it is, but let's just start from the very beginning. What we have to do is make a randomized circuit where we can get specific outputs where the machine can sort of decide what color is going to be um, available for you to stand on as the player. What we have here is 8 different colors of wool, all corresponding to the wool on the platforms here, and they go through your typical item sorters right here. And then they come out into these hoppers and come back into this dropper and observer chain elevator and go back in. So basically, anytime a pulse comes through here, one item will get picked out, it'll go through this filter, send a pulse out over here, and go back in. And a pulse comes in here every time this timer goes off, which is hooked up to the lever back near the start. So it's all based on a timer, basically. And then when we come over here, our outputs do a couple of different things. First of all, these observers are just used to carry the pulse upwards, and what they do is they head over here, and depending on which output came out, so for example, I think this one is pink on the left here. Yeah, this is pink. You can see it corresponds. Um, it will close this loop, meaning that these flying machines over here won't fire when the pulse comes through here. And the pulse is decided through some signals right here that correspond to the shulker box coming out of this dispenser. So basically what that means is that the filters over here effectively will decide which of these platforms we can stand on when the time comes when the flying machines get retracted. Speaking of flying machines, here is the setup I've got here. It's very simple. Got some obsidian here, observers facing upwards, pistons to fire off these observers, and then a redstone line to send them back. And these ones on back here are just on a timer. So after a certain period of time, the flying machines will fly back into position, as we saw in the demonstration. And as for the rest of this, after it's been decided, what needs to happen is a shulker box needs to come out that sort of tells the player what color is going to be used. And so to do that, we take an output corresponding to the shulker box, or to the wool over an item sorter. A output comes out here based on this T flip-flop that we've got set up here. And basically all it does is carries the pulse upwards. Now, a couple of things here. There's a water stream up here, and a water stream down here. And if we look in these droppers, what happens, they have each a shulker box, all corresponding to the proper color. We can see everything's fine in here. And basically what that means is that what we should see is that every time one of these droppers or these hoppers has an item come out of it, we have one shulker box come out corresponding to that color, and it'll come out here. And when it comes out here, as you saw earlier, there's a brief delay, the flying machines move, and it gets broken. The shulker box travels back up this chain, up into this area, and it goes back into these hoppers. Now, these hoppers aren't sorted. What they are, though, is all of them are locked, except for one of them that's active. So let's say that the blue wool over here is selected, which means that a blue shulker box will come out. What happens is the pulse goes through here, this gets turned on, and the blue shulker box will come out of here, and it will travel over into this mechanism right here and get dispensed and go back up and all of that. But what also happens over here is that this torch line sort of inverts itself, which means that this hopper right here is now unlocked, which means that the shulker box will travel only into the correct dropper. And what also happens is we have another line over here that sort of measures when a item goes through these hoppers. So once a shulker box returns through the system, which for example will go right through here, an output comes out, these get inverted, these pulses run down, and this is exactly 15 all the way down, so even though they're all connected, only the one that gets activated will correspond down here. The pulse runs back through, and it will reset only the one that went off. So this one would have been extended, it would then retract, setting it to the default position. So to show that working, we're just going to go ahead and flick the lever, and we're going to stand back over here. We're just going to sort of observe the process. So something came out, one of the lights flicked on, you can see the red shulker box came out, red is lit, goes all the way back up, comes up the stream, goes back into this hopper right here, and another one comes out. I think that one's yellow or orange. It was orange. And it all works pretty quickly. I mean, okay, this one goes up, goes in, and everything gets reset. This one's orange again. And since it's completely random, you can get some of the same one in a row like we just saw. But yeah, I mean, it's a prototype. I mean, there's definitely, in my playtesting, it's a little boring just because, there's not much interaction with other players you can have. So it all just comes down to, trying to survive the longest, which isn't too much of a problem. Before, I had the timings a lot longer, so you had a lot more time to get on the right platform. But I changed that just because it would make things a little bit more interesting. They come out from under you pretty quickly. So yeah, I don't really remember the specific game this was inspired by. It might have been something using command blocks on a server. But I think I remember it from like Mario Party. That's sort of what I was going for. So yeah, I mean, it works on a very basic level. Obviously, the objective is to not fall down into this hole right here. And if you're in survival or adventure mode or something where you can't fly, that's where all the challenge comes from. Obviously, I can fly, but I'm not going to. It just comes down to surviving. I think it's a interesting concept. It is a little loud and a little laggy. It's good to get away from that. But yeah, it works pretty much exactly as I would hope for it to. And of course, it's not very compact, but what else are you going to do? There's not really much ways I can fix that. It's got to go all the way around this. I could have made all these pulses go above, below, but I decided against that just for simplicity's sake. And yeah. Alright, so I think that's going to do it for this episode. It's a little different from what I normally do on this channel, but I hope you enjoyed nonetheless, and if you did, don't be afraid to leave a like, and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.